All right, so this was a viewer submission that I think's got a lot of neat things going on for it. So back in standard during RTR, if people were playing then, if you recall, there were Runaway Steam-Kin decks that were built around the idea of you use Steam-Kin alongside Experimental Frenzy to play a bunch of spells off the top of your deck in succession. And this deck is trying to kind of aim for that same idea, only instead of Experimental Frenzy, we have the new card Moonveil Regent here, which lets us churn through our deck without kind of the limitations that Experimental Frenzy had. We've also got Smoldering Egg as a deck that wants us to churn, card that wants us to churn through our deck. And then we got things like Risk Factor and Arcane Infusion to have 2 spells inside of 1 to cast for Steamkin and Smoldering Egg. We've also got some burn spells and strike and play with fires. So let's go ahead and pop on into some games with this and see how it feels this morning. Yeah, back when this archetype was standard legal, you always had some kind of awkward tension between Experimental Frenzy and Risk Factor, because like Risk Factor would draw you cards, and then Experimental Frenzy wouldn't let you play those cards. And we kind of get to sidestep that that risk. All right, well that's definitely got to go, right? Main deck Veto and Metallic Rebuke. That's a big one. The real question here is how many Abrades are in my sideboard? 2? Okay. Mass Effect's been really fun. I'm gonna play the land. And then we'll do this as I anticipate the draws 2 cards. So strike to hand. Library exile. No attacks. Good lord. Alright. We are super dead. They popped off far harder than we did there, huh? Definitely want to cut these risk factors against the deck that's playing to the board. Probably trim an Arcane Fusion too for similar reasons. Just boarded a bunch of removal spells here. I'm not sure that 3 extra shocks. I didn't touch the sideboard at all in this deck to start, but 3 extra shocks. We already have 4 play with fire main deck. Probably overkill. Sweet Gengar. Outside of the distinct lack of like quest indicators on the map, most of Mass Effect has been good. And one of the upsides of having Twitch chat is that I can mostly just work my way around that. Is this card actually good in this deck? This only takes an instant or sorcery. How many instant sorceries are we playing? What are the odds that this card bricks in this deck? Feels like it's relatively high. I guess it's good with Dragon. Just gonna play with fire here and pressure them. It could be right to keep another threat here too. I really want to lead on Expressive Iteration next turn, I think. That's the downside to not keeping another threat. Well, I guess I do have a Abrade for this, huh? Good for a land tier. Nice. And Library Exile. We prioritize holding Abrade since it can hit any artifact. Yeah, I need to go back and double check. I need to look at how many hits we have for this. Feels like not a lot, right? I guess we have the 8 spell lands that it can find. So like there we had 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, 19, 20. We had 20 hits it could have found. And naturally, the very next card we draw is a card it could have found. And paying the price for all their utility lands there, just having an incredibly clunky draw. So like postboard here, I've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, we're only 85%. We're only 85% to hit with this, which is not great. They're gonna swap those off. I actually think most of the things Carson accepts as acceptable and unacceptable aren't true. I think all of his numbers are too low. Like you look at what he flags as consistent for Collected Company, it's real low. One Man Cold, thank you for the 10 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. So I think my opponent has a Dovin's Veto because they shocked in this Hallowed Fountain on 2. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and kill this now rather than letting them untap. Hey, thanks for the 15 months, Prinny. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. And Library Exile. Am I playing this as a spell, though? Or is it a land? I think it's a land. If they want to trade their Blink Moth plus their token for Birgi, I'm okay with that. Good, Limu. Yikes. Well, that's super unfortunate. We can strike in response to get mana and pay 3. That's not how any of this works. This is no counters on it currently. Yeah, I could pay 2 mana to get 1 mana for Birgi. I think we're just passing here, unfortunately. Yeah, the problem with Horde next turn is I'm pretty sure they have Dovin's Veto. They took the bait, chat. They took the bait. All right. The White Walkers are coming, chat. So we're discarding whatever we put in hand, right? Hand, library, exile. Okay. We're cooking with gas, chat. We're cooking with gas. We're doing it, Mom! We're doing it! So we do that, and then we do this. Draw a card. And then we do this. Draw a card. And then we do this. Draw a card. Then we make some mana, and we do this. Hippity hop the fun. It don't stop, chat. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Do 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 do. Thanks for the 42 months, C unit. Okay. Okay, not bad. I like when we get to do the thing in the first game. Listen, chat. That was our opponent's fault. They Dovins vetoed my lightning strike. They were baited masterfully. Their 2-1 did get to live though. Their 2-1 did get to live. This Arcane Infusion is bad. I am pretty confident. 80 to 85% is not great. What do I want this card to be instead? Have we just played like Faithless Looting? I guess that's technically card disadvantage. Is there another card draw spell? What if we just like played one of the red cantrips, right? Like Memekin used to always play in the day. Just like play Crash Through. I kind of like having cheap things to trigger Birgi and Steamkin while we go. I feel like I just want Warlord's Fury or Crash Through. No, I want red cards, chat, to trigger these and cast cleanly with these. Faithless Salvaging is also card disadvantage, so right? Yeah, seems not great. I guess if you're empty-handed, it's not card disadvantage. Yeah, looks fine. Cheap cantrips are good with Smoldering Egg too. This was not a Marty submission, no. It's been a long time since we put risk factor in a deck, for sure. Choices, chat, choices. Sometimes you just want to watch the world burn. Risk factor into Narset. That takes me back. Yikes, a life gain deck. That doesn't seem very good for our hero. You want to get taken back. Remember when we assumed that the best red finisher of all time would probably be Experimental Frenzy? Young and naive indeed. And Library Exile. Has there been a fair red deck since then? There really hasn't, huh? They're just chilling for now. The problem is they probably have a collected company this turn. I mean, the soonest the eggs are going to be dragons is next turn anyways, right? So, like, I get to play with fire this turn, and then next turn we risk factor into iteration. Real Honeywell, lot changed in 20 months, new promotion, new house, got married, and all the same blurs day. Thanks for the 20 months. Glad to hear life is going all right for you. Now, unfortunately, I can't kill them this turn. I do think we get to do this. Shoot this, shoot this. Oh, I sequenced that wrong and made this bigger. Yikes. Yikes. It's a big mistake. I forgot Daxos had dies text on it. And Library Exile. All right. We take those. I think this is not a risk factor match, and I'm pretty sure this comes out in the creature matchups. We just bring in this extra removal. I agree the mono black deck from yesterday is good. I believe Hoots is currently leaning towards standard. Standard is currently up by 0.5 percentage point, but I also expect, yeah, honestly, the Vortex of the sideboard should be Rampaging Ferocidons. We'll make that swap after this game. You just can't hold up mana in these matchups to stop them from gaining life is the problem with Vortex. Like, look at that last game we were tapping out basically every turn. Asinine Frankenstein, thanks for the 28 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. And Sunset Bleach, thanks for the half a year. Yeah, the next open is November 14th. Been talking about that for a little bit. We will announce the format of that tournament on Friday, once we've given folks a chance to look at a little bit more spoilers and vote in the thing. Why do they bring in Authority? I mean, we have haste creatures in a Games of Life. It's also very possible, like, Authority's just in their main deck. I'm excited for the next open. I've secured some additional sponsors past just Cool Stuff Inc. So we'll be scaling up our amount of production staff. We're going to have 2 additional commentators, both Amazonian and Jim Davis will be joining me to do commentary on the 14th. We're going to have multiple people running backup feature matches, so we'll be able to cover even more Magic than we usually do. I don't really have a strong opinion on Historic decks, Brute Z. I guess if you're only playing to win and don't have a deck that you really like, I would probably play some food variation. We should just murder this, right? I think we just kill this, yeah. Because this doesn't really give us a big benefit until our hand's mostly empty anyways. And Library Exile. I'm just going to keep killing their creatures. It's probably going to be a hot second before we do another charity stream. I like to not do them too terribly often because you burn out the audience, and we just did one last month or the month before. So probably not until into the next year at this point.
Do you see the benefits of peace? We must regroup.
Ranger Captain's a pretty good draw. Gives them 2 threats here. And this will be able to give them another white pip so they can Heliod me. So this is 10. This would be 3. This would be 4. So depending on what this finds, we could kill them, right? I have a shock, 2 play with fires, a Spikefield Hazard, 4 Spikefield Hazards. Oh, they could sack Ranger Captain. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, okay, let's not be too aggressive then. The Ranger Captain kind of changes the dynamic. I'm gonna attack with this. I'm gonna leave the Moonveil back to play defense. In case they draw something to wake up Heliod again. Wow! Just actually the best draw in their deck. It wakes up Heliod and kills our 1 blocker. Brutal. That's fine. We'll take game 3 on the play. My play is correct there. We want to be able to put them to dead on board. They have 1 draw step. Yeah, sometimes you have good beats. But it had running bangers there with the Captain into Skyclave. Hand's pretty sweet. That one can go away. We do this one first because it's more resource efficient, right? Maybe I'm supposed to chill on this to wait to play it as Horn since I have 2 Steamkins. That might be correct. This is 11, 14, 15, so don't quite have lethal here. We just crack them for 10 then. Could I have tapped my lands differently and killed them here if I'd have left Ramunap Ruins up? I think we could have, right? Yeah, I think I missed lethal with the Ramunap Ruins here. Didn't matter, but something to count for the future. Man, some honest red beatdowns, huh? Couple of removal spells, flurry of creatures. Oh, Ferocidon, yeah. Thank you. I mean, in comparison, honest is relative. And in comparison to everything else going on in Historic, our deck was incredibly honest that game. Alright, so definitely the green-black food deck. Colony Heart Garden implies that. It still kind of surprised me that this was one of the cards on a jumpstart that made the cut into this format. Lands that make 2 mana are just so powerful. Well, we have plenty of mana, right? So we'll just, like, play with fire into hand and exile here, and then cast it to get a counter on this, this here Smoldering Egg. I actually can't kill the squirrel with this play with fire, because they'll just sack the cat to the Phyrexian Tower and then sack the food to bring it back. They might do that anyways, so I'll just dome them here, get our scry. I think we're looking for some of our mana generators here. Steamkin or Birgi. Got a Fatal Push here for the other mana too. To round out the perfects. Village rates maybe. Very strong threat from the opponent. The archetype's pretty impressive every time we played against it. The food decks in general are very good right now. Cat Oven's definitely the best thing you can be doing in this format. I will forever be confused why they banned Witches of it in Standard and left it legal in Historic. Thanks for the 2.5 years, Rock Banana. Welcome back. Cat Oven really highlights the fact that Magic Arena desperately needs an always yield option for triggers. I honestly don't blame you, Che. Actually, in fact, we can probably just concede here. My opponent's playing glacially slow, and it's just really not fun. Their deck's not particularly fun to play against, and they're playing like a snail, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. In fact, I think I'm just going to load up Rampaging Ferocidons in the sideboard, so if we queue into another one of them who's not playing like a snail, we can have a good shot there. Ferocidon's a decent card to give you a shot against their archetype. Squirrel's pretty problematic, though. I want these disputes. What if I played... I was trying to rack my brain for cards we could play to have counterplay against the squirrel. We played some Ratchet Bombs. This card's pretty absurd in that matchup, right? It kills Squirrel and it kills Oven. And it cleans up Goose and Cat with it. It could also potentially clear out a bunch of food if they have it. Let's try that. Yeah, the opponent's deck was mechanically slow, and even if you're executing it quickly, and they were executing it slowly on top of their deck being mechanically slow. Which, you know, maybe they're new to it, but that combination is not particularly pleasant to play against. They're a Yorion deck? I'm gonna keep double risk factor against Yorion. Hopefully they're like a grindy deck. Hey, thanks for the over 2 years, Z-Man. Welcome back. These are a few of my favorite things. Yes. Would have been very bad if our second land got thought seized. Lands here. Yikes. Almost assuredly a Doom Foretold deck. Missing our land drop's a pretty big deal here. If they hit their Doom Foretold on curve, we're going to be in trouble. And they're an 80 card deck, so they always have it on curve. Come on, just draw your Yorion and pass. Chariot. Yikes. I mean, it's fine to not play Magic Lightning quick. It's just two things you could do to speed up is one, pick a deck that play speed's proportional to your rate of play. So if you know you're a slow player, don't play decks that are glacial. We want to kill this one. Just it's like killing two with one. Just factor them again here. Probably losing this race because we have to spend mana to deal our damage, but their Omen gaining them life also wasn't great for us. They were not playing a Mopey Yorion deck like we were hoping. Okay. Okay. We take those. The opponent's dojo contains fear, chat. They are very scared. Hopefully I just play a Yorion this turn. Man, that card's good against us. Okay. I think we're gonna die after having drawn 9 extra cards, chat. Big sedge. You have 5 points here, 6, 7, 8. We almost recovered there. The fact that we basically took turn 3 off because we just didn't have a land was a really big deal. I don't know that I want to breed in this matchup. Ferocidon's probably good. Ratchet Bomb seems decent. Putting a lot of instant source with this board configuration, but trim a couple of Smoldering Eggs. Seems fine since we're bringing in extra threats. Ratchet Bomb's one of those cards that's like always in the back of my mind because it was in my first standard deck I ever got into competitive stuff with a decade ago. It's like, what if we... Thanks for the 33 months, Karn Daddy. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. This hand needs some lands, but we've got iterations to find them here, hopefully. Okay, so with the third iteration in hand, holy fuck, chat. Actual, factual, never lucky. I was about to say before we just got railed by the shuffler, that with 3 iterations, we'll just cast this first one as an anticipate to guarantee our third land drop. Thank goodness, chat. Wub, wub, wub. Shuffler! Why, Shuffler, why? It's like Spider-Man, chat. It's a menace. I think we just iterate here because I really want to hit my land drop again this turn. Hand, library, exile. Trading Innkeeper for 3 points of damage. Deal. And then honestly, I think we just go ahead and murder this, right? We'll probably end up pushing damage in the future because we took that off the board. So it's our ideal draw here. Like next turn we iteration into untapped land plus Steamkin is probably pretty close to ideal. Alright, I'll take a Dorat. Yeah, there is frost on my grass in the backyard this morning. Alright, do they have a way to kill my boy here? Otherwise, our rampaging friend is going to continue to put up lots of damage. Cute. Kind of hoping to untap land so we can risk factor plus Moonveil. They were pretty aggro about giving us cards last game, so I'm going to start here and see what they do. If they, like, rate this, it's taking most of their turn, so I think that's still a good exchange for us. With this land drawn, we can go Dorat, Lightning Strike this, Moonveil Regent all this turn. Hey, thanks for the half a year, Russell Cat. Welcome back. Cast Ratchet Bomb, discard your hand, draw 0 profit. Strong play. We'll take it into consideration. Oh, wait. We boarded this in for a reason. I love the smell of magic cards in the morning. Alright, now I gotta try and win one on the draw. Jareth, thank you for the tier 2 and thank you for the 2 entire years of support. Good morning, good morning. Is everyone stuck waiting in matchmaking? I've not had any issues getting matches so far this morning, Pudgeons. Try restarting your client if you're having a problem. Unless it, like, just started after I queued this match. His mind is cute with Yorian. Some standard flashbacks. Yikes, where's Rampaging Ferocidon when you need one? Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. I have a bit of a cold at the moment, so I'll be hiding my webcam to blow my nose on occasion. So we do this into this. So we're definitely taking the land here, right? The question is, which of these other two cards do we want? Probably the risk factor, right? We managed to get out of this turn without them interacting with our board again. We'll be in a very good spot next turn. I feel like it's unlikely they don't interact with our board, though. They gotta have some kind of removal here, right? Please just draw your Yori in. Please just draw your Yori in. Please just draw your Yori in. All right. Okie doke. And now we definitely use the Moonveil because it draws us 2 cards. And I think we do actually discard our hand again here because ideally we want to find mono red spells, right? Yikes, this is actually pretty not great for us. And library exile, I guess. I guess maybe I should have put this one in exile, right? Because I could have cast it this turn. Do I just, like, cast another Moonveil Regent here, actually? Like, the other risk factor doesn't really accomplish much, right? I just want to put another threat into play. Yeah, I should have put this in exile and drawn a land to my hand. I could have had one more card. I thought I was doing this, but I should have figured out which of these two I was casting before I started clicking on the Expressive Iteration. Make Bolas great again. Thanks for the 2.5 years. Oh, Grixis players. Yeah, I could have had a Ramunap Ruins in hand. Which could have been relevant. Decline discarding my hand here. Not under duress here, friendo. So they're gonna get to Othakaya, kill my Steamkin or my Birgi. They probably kill them next turn, maybe? Yeah, they could be on a super like Doomscar. They've got a pretty controlling setup. If they do Doomscar here, I do get to like Moonveil into play land risk factor next turn. Yeah, just Yorion's not bad for us. So they're back to 20. Do they kill Dorat or do they kill my mana? Probably my mana, right? Ferocidon's not bad. I think I am going to churn through this Moonveil Regent at this point. We're going to hold on to this one. I've got to stop on my main phase, because if I draw instants with the first Moonveil trigger, I can cast them before we get to the next one. So like here, we can risk factor. And do I want to actually tag the Yorion here? It lets me attack with my 4/4s in the air, right? If I tag the Yorion. I think I'm just looking for instants and sorceries here, so I'm going to keep churning. Because this trigger is going to let us draw 2. Okay, so now we do this here. Not bad, not bad. Pippity pop, the fun don't stop, chat. Draw a couple cards, make some mana, blast some faces. Orbs, my cold dead heart. Light 'em up. They're on fire. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Do, 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 do. Pour one out for our boy Rampaging Ferocidon, by the way. It's definitely largely responsible for that W there. Hand's pretty good. These are lands. Alright, I am going to play this food matchup out. I know we conceded the last one, but we've got 4 Ferocidons now. Born in Elwyn's. Can dodge a Mayhem Devil, we can dodge a ball. The best deck in Historic at the moment is Jund Food. There's a few different iterations of the archetype, but Food in general is number 1 at the moment. All right, so fast Corvold for them, but we've got our mana engine kind of revved up and ready to go. So we'll see if we're able to pop off a little bit next turn. They did shock in a land tier, so what do they have for their last mana? Hopefully just like a goose or an oven. Thanks for the follow you deck. Yeah, this definitely isn't a matchup that we're going to win as a fair red aggro deck. You need to like pippity pop up way over the top here to have a shot, I think. Bone shards. That's honestly probably enough interaction for us to end up dying here. Hoping to draw a land next turn so we can go Birgi into something else. Do we just play out our eggs now, actually? What if we do that? I can do egg, attack, play Birgi off of Steamkin mana after. Or maybe Dorat egg, attack. Yeah, because this could block the Corvold next turn, right, if we needed to. A lot of the food decks have moved away from playing Claim the Firstborn. It is good for our game one. You're not wrong. Somehow Claim isn't good enough anymore. It's because there aren't as many creature decks in the format. So this stops us from making mana this turn, but that's fine because we killed their thing. Unfortunately, the opponent just has everything here, so there's not really much we could do. And then not have one of their 2 removal spells here. Or not have turn 3 Corvold off of their Ancient Tomb. That's somehow legal in the format. I do think the people that picked out cards for Jumpstart Historic Horizons kind of failed with a number of picks. It's really weird to me that they put so many cards into this format that push into the already established best deck, making it better than it previously was. Between Phyrexian Tower and the Squirrel and other things like that, I feel like the people that picked out cards for these last couple of Jumpstart sets should probably not be the ones doing it in the future. I think they made a number of incredible mistakes in terms of balancing this format. I think ideally, I'd still Jumpstart, yeah, I'd just Jumpstart in general. I think the people that were in charge of picking what cards were there and which ones weren't don't really seem to have a good grasp on what's good for the format. Putting in a bunch of cards into the established best deck seems like a not great thing to be doing. Chat, I'm aware what sets are. I'm talking about Jumpstart in general. Phyrexian Tower versus Flametongue Kavu, for example. There's the throwback for that one. Food was also one of the best decks when the first Jumpstart was put into the format. For those that don't know their history. I mean, as not ideal as the outcome of like the VA election was. It also wasn't particularly surprising, Captain Corf, right? Like, Democrats who vote notoriously don't show up for midterm elections, which is part of the reason why Republicans have been able to gain such a strong control in so many parts, because a lot of local elections are decided on off years. And Democrats often don't vote like they need to in local elections. And then not voting in local elections leads to things like gerrymandering, which makes it harder to gain control of the House at the national level. Yeah, there's never really been a point in historic since Eldraine was released, Food's been a top deck in this format. It's like the TLDR. Yeah, and this wasn't even just a midterm election. It was an off election year on top of that. Ooh, this will exile the cat, right? Goodbye, friend. And by friend, I mean fuck you, cat. Get out of here. Okay, we can kill that, right? Might actually get this with the fair beatdown plan, chat. Things looking potentially okay for our hero. Oh, this is lethal, right? We're just slow rolling them because I'm dumb and can't count. All right, well, I'm glad we took the long way around. I can stay right there. Pippity pop, the fun don't stop. You know, honestly, should we just be on 4 Birgi in this deck? It's like a pseudo Steamkin, and like the third one's in the sideboard, right? There should probably just be 4 Birgis in our main deck, huh? Because like both the horn and the front half are really good. Gensien, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. Appreciate the support. Yeah, double Ferocidon Spikefield. Let's go. Yeah, so Twitch added what they're calling follower emotes to the channel, which are emotes that anybody who's following the channel can use only on this channel. So I threw that one in there as one of those. So you can't use it on other Twitch channels, but you can use it here. And when we do variety segments and we turn pleb mode on, non-subs can use them as well. Maybe it's wrong to play Dorat here and I'm just supposed to Ferocidon. Yeah, I put the dab one as a follower emote, but I think I might need to swap that back to a sub emote. Because, like, that's one that's useful on another channel. When I first read it, I didn't realize that they were restricted to use on this channel only. So I think I might want to swap around which ones I have in there for that, but they effectively give us kind of extra emote slots in a roundabout way. Bone shard here. Yeah. Really? I'm surprised that they didn't just bring the cat back and draw a card here. They wanted to get more value out of it, be greedy. And then, I just don't think we're in a position to be able to race this Corvold from here, right? Oh, I should have just conceded that match from the start. We had a rank thing, so we didn't lose anything for it either. I just want all the Birgis in the main. really have anything I really want to do for the last sideboard slot. Throw a feeding open there. Something to tempo things like Corvold might be okay on occasion. Let's do one more before we swap over to standard. This deck definitely doesn't really want things like Chandra. We have plenty of top-end expensive things that draw cards in our main deck as part of our main gimmick. Ratchet Bomb was in one of the early anthologies. Food or Niv? Probably food. Definitely food. Is playing against Epiphany in Standard more interesting than playing against food in Historic? It might be, actually. Similarly low amounts of counterplay. Food deck beats up creature decks harder than Epiphany beats up creature decks. Yeah, food's a lot more tedious to play against, for sure. Fair creature decks like I like to play are definitely much worse against this archetype than they are against the Epiphany decks in Standard. And anecdotally, based on the ladder this week, there's a lot more food in Historic than there is Epiphany in Standard. And Library Exile. Oh, this would have put a counter on here. Big silly. Missed a point. They always have the core vault, chip. Why do they always have the core vault? Don't play a Fabled Passage. Okay, so I can Lightning Strike this. Really? Okay. Would you like to take some damages, opponent? Crunch, crunch. Okay. Risky business here, chat. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him here. So, Ferocidon, obviously great here. Honestly, I might just cut Dorat. They have flying blockers for this anyways. I'm bringing in this as an extra threat that pushes damage. I think I want the Fading Hope. Do I want these Abrades? Can't decide if I want the Abrades. Come around the edges for those. I didn't see Squirrel out of them, so I'm not going to bring in the Ratchet Bombs. Which deck do I like playing the most? I don't know that I really have a deck that I love in either of Magic's formats right now. Just been doing a wide variety of stuff. The types of decks that I typically really love playing get bullied by the types of decks I tend to love playing haven't been good in Magic for a little while. And like the other decks, like, you know, like what we're playing now, they're like fine. I don't dislike them, but like the thing that like really makes me love Magic, it feels like Wizards doesn't want to support as an archetype anymore, which is a little sad. Yeah, it feels like mid-range has been. It feels like mid-range hasn't existed post Fire Design. Like the last time mid-range was like really excellent was before War of the Spark. And for people that aren't familiar with Fire Design, Fire is an acronym that kind of guides the overall designing principle of Magic the Gathering since War of the Spark released. And if you're not familiar with what that acronym stands for, it stands for Fuck It, Ruin Everything. Okay, so with that tap, they can no longer grow the squirrel outside of this, so we'll kill it. So for the record, Springsbug, it isn't aggro tools that really push mid-range out of the Magic's formats, although Embercleave did do that in Standard for a little bit. In large part, the things that really hurt the aggressive decks or the mid-range decks in this current format is the fact that, what's the word that I'm searching for? Is the fact that over-the-top spell-based combo decks have been just like this cornerstone of Magic the Gathering for a little bit now. Spell-based combo is just so difficult for fair decks to keep up with. Howdy how! Thank you for the 21 months. Welcome back. Attack with this. They want to block with Cauldron Familiar. I think that's fine. They can bring it back, but bringing it back uses up a food, which means they can't Phyrexian Tower at this turn. Fatal Push getting Birgi there is kind of whatever, because it was going to kill Runaway Steam-Kin anyways. Something always goes over the top. You're right that something's always going over the top of other things in the format, but there's a fundamental difference between, say, a control deck going over the top of you with a threat like Grave Titan or Wormcoil Engine that plays to the board that you can block and interact with, and a threat like Emergent Ultimatum or Aldrin's Epiphany, where you can't meaningfully interact with it in most situations. Like, there is a fundamental difference between those two things. Because you're right, there's always going to be a bigger fish. But there's a key core difference between how things used to go over the top before Fire Design took effect and what we see post Fire Design. No, I want the Steamkin mana next turn. Also, the cat blocked my Steamkin, so if I made mana with it, it would die. Sad to lose Moonveil Regent here. But that's just not true, College. Like, you can literally look at the format before the first Fire Design set took place, and like green-black midrange and then Sultai midrange were the best decks in GRN and RNA Standard. Like, you're just wrong saying midrange can't exist in Magic. Or maybe I don't understand what you're saying. If that's not what you're saying. There was a fundamental design shift, and that design shift pushed mid-range decks out. I mean, even in RNA Standard, Wilderness Reclamation wasn't that big of a deal. Played a lot of that format. Okay, so bounce you, kill the opponent. All right, we just 2-0 food there. Turns out when they don't play turn 3 Corvold, the matchup seems a lot better. Weird how when there's no turn 3 Corvold, the matchup seems better. Thanks for the follow, Jebone. Overall, I was kind of impressed with this deck. It felt pretty reasonable and cohesive once we cleaned up a little bit of the details. The Moonveil Regent being a experimental frenzy style effect that isn't awkward with risk factor was excellent, and Birgi really felt good. The fact that she could be a Steamkin when you needed more Steamkin, but the horn could also let us generate and churn through more cards in the deck is like also really fantastic. The sideboard could definitely use some cleaning up. I'm pretty confident you want 4 Ferocidon, but outside of 4 Ferocidon, I'm not really sure what your sideboard needs to have. I can honestly see more Fading Hope being good. So, yeah, I could drop that in the. I just go to profile. Actually, you don't need me. You go to profile here. All my untapped decks are right there, Sporadic.